indeed. Well, members of Parliament believe the Public Works and Infrastructure Minister Patricia de Lille should be criminally charged for her involvement in the failed Beitbridge border fence. The members of the Public Works Portfolio Committee inspected the £40 million fence on the border with Zimbabwe. It's been declared to be not fit for purpose. A probe into the contract process found several irregularities. Meanwhile, the Special Tribunal has ruled that the urgent matter filed by the Special Investigating Unit stand down until next week. The SIU is approaching the court for an order to freeze the bank accounts of two defendants in the Beitbridge border fence case.
By agreement between the parties, this matter stands down until Thursday, 15 October at 10 a.m. The SIU is granted leave to supplement its founding affidavit or to file an explanatory affidavit by Monday, the 12th of October. The third to fifth respondents, should they so wish, will file their answering affidavit by the same date, that is the 12th of October. By the 14th of October, the current opposing respondents will supplement their answering affidavits, if they so wish.
Well, the senior politics reporter Ziyanda Ngcobo joins us now with more on this. Ziyanda, good afternoon to you. Nice to see you in person, if I may say. I remember the Defence Minister, Patricia de Lille, saying very clearly this fence was pretty much useless. The MPs must be furious.
They most certainly are, and they're calling for Patricia de Lille's head. They're saying that she had intimate knowledge of what was happening. She was getting weekly briefings on this Beitbridge project, and the fact that she even herself conceded during a SCOPA hearing that she did actually get involved in terms of who was awarded this tender, in and of itself should be investigated. Now, it's not clear why they're not just referring her to the Ethics Committee, for an example, but today, of course, the Special Tribunal, which of course the SIU refers to for these matters, as per the President's proclamation, the matter has stood down in order for both parties to give explanatory affidavits. And so, of course, they are still attempting to freeze the bank accounts of those two companies that actually essentially didn't do the work, and 21 million of that 37 million had already been paid out.
Okay, so what happens from now? We wait for the next tribunal hearing?
Most certainly. So next Thursday, we'll get more of an explanation as to why exactly the Special Investigating Unit is trying to freeze the bank accounts of these two companies. But also, more interestingly, when we come back to this matter next week, Thursday, there will be also further explanation as to whether or not Patricia de Lille, the Minister, and her DG, Sami Vukela, will also be party to this case. And that's quite significant, Stephen, because so far, the SIU report, which was released in July, only speaks about, the Treasury's investigations, and they're the ones who spotted this particular matter. And it also speaks to the fact that, like you've already mentioned, the border is not fit for purpose, and so what is to be done. But it doesn't necessarily speak to any interference from the executive, that being, of course, Minister Patricia de Lille.
Okay, de Lille's in an interesting position because she's the leader of the Good Party.
Yes.
And she was appointed, I suppose, surprisingly in a way, although actually we usually have a multi-party government, not just one party, multi-party cabinet, not just one party in our system. She is going to come under a lot of pressure. I mean, the Democratic Alliance MPs on this committee must be beside themselves.
Most certainly, Stephen. I mean, I'm laughing because, when Patricia de Lille was appointed, it was exactly that. Her party was relatively new. After she left the DA, of course, her relationship with the DA didn't end so well. But also, in time immemorial, Stephen, the Public Works Department has seen a lot of corruption in it, and it was interpreted that President Cyril Ramaphosa strategically placed someone like Patricia de Lille, who had somewhat of a reputation for being a whistleblower, for example, when it came to the arms deal, to actually not have an ANC person be a minister in the Public Works Department. So to have this come against her, to say that she was directly involved in the awarding of that tender, which essentially did not do what it needed to, especially you were using emergency funds, because this project was commissioned in March after the President declared a national state of disaster, and then by March already the fence was up, and to have this scandal surrounding her is most certainly not a good look.
I mean, 40 million rand for a fence. I mean, and a border that people have been crossing, a river that people have been crossing for hundreds of years.
Yeah.
I mean, you're going to always need more than a fence. In a way, you've got to ask, was the whole project designed for some ulterior purpose?
Well, Stephen, I mean, there are some quarters who will say, I mean, we are about to go into an election next year, and what has usually happened previously in government is that funds are channeled through the use of projects, infrastructure projects, such as the Beitbridge border post, to actually then channel funds back to political party. But again, then Patricia de Lille is part of the good party, so where would that money have gone? And if she's the one who directly had a hand in who the tender went to, then that would also make certainly an interesting political study, Stephen. But most certainly, when it comes to, you know, the timing of everything and how it happened, it will be very interesting what happens in court next week in terms of the details of where the money went and who are the owners of these two companies that were commissioned for this job.
Ziyanda, I mean, your experience, I'm sure, will be very similar to mine of Patricia de Lille. Years of experience in our politics, been very difficult situations, was in the PAC in the 1980s, not a comfortable place during that time. She is not going to go down without a fight. She is going to come out swinging.
Already, Stephen, I think she's come out guns blazing to say, yes, she may have actually, sort of given an instruction or suggestion as to who should be a part of this project. She doesn't believe that it was an instruction, actually, in terms of who this contract went to. And most certainly, I think we know about the tensions, of course, between her and her DG, Sam Vukela, who has previously been implicated in corruption when it comes to the commissioning of funerals of stalwarts, Mamwini Madikizela Mandela, Tatu Matiba as well. So I think there is a lot happening within the Public Works Department that is certainly going to become public once that court matter gets underway.
She used to wear boxing gloves, if I recall, when she was being pushed out as mayor in the city of Cape Town. Ziyanda Ngcobo, thanks very much indeed.